This woman may be the last Neanderthal woman in what is now France. 36,000 years ago, someone knocked her on the head. In 1975, during road construction work near the village of Saint-Césaire in western France, workers pulled several flint implements and animal bones to the surface. They were first seen by Bernard Daubigny, a local antiquities enthusiast who was on his way to catch trout. Although nothing prehistoric had been found in the area before, Daubigny convinced the landowner to stop working immediately and call in the archaeologists. 4 years later, the specialists' work was rewarded with the discovery of the skeletons of at least 2 Neanderthals, along with thousands of tools and animal bones. The best preserved skull was that of a young individual. The collapsed rock canopy under which the skeletons rested was called La Roche-Pierrot, so the Neanderthal was christened Pierrot, but then, when it was discovered that the skeleton was probably female, it was renamed Pierrette. However, it may have been a young man. The bones were very fragile and represented more than 500 fragments. Therefore, Pierrette's skeleton was cast entirely in plaster and transported to the laboratory as a solid block. Judging by the late dating, Neanderthals lived here at a time when Homo sapiens had already ruled Europe for several millennia. In this connection, it is curious that the skull, although obviously Neanderthal, has a number of progressive features. The brow is relatively thin and weakly protruding, a relatively low and narrow face, small eye sockets, a rather narrow nose and a hint of a chin ledge, small teeth, and so on. Therefore, it is possible that the skeleton belonged to a mestizo of Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon. DNA analysis has not yet been conducted. It is especially noteworthy that the Neanderthal bones at Saint-Césaire were combined with tools of the Châtelperronian culture, which many specialists consider to be intermediate between Mousterian, Neanderthal, and Aurignacian, Cro-Magnon. In addition to the items typical of Mousterian, flint plates, bone tools, and drilled teeth were found at the site. However, the monument contains 15 layers ranging in age from 30,000 to 43,000 years, the dates obtained by the thermoluminescent method, so some researchers believe that progressive products could fall in the Neanderthal deposits from above as a result of mixing the layers. The skeleton was inside a circular area 70 centimeters in diameter. Although archaeologists were unable to find evidence of a burial pit, the distribution of the finds and the large number of clam shells indicate that the burial may have been deliberate. Only the right side of the skull was preserved, on which specialists found a partially healed mark from a severe injury, a chopped wound about 7 centimeters long, inflicted by a long, sharp instrument, something like a machete, probably a flint tip on a wooden handle. The person who struck the blow was right-handed. After the injury, the Neanderthal survived for several more months. The locals have already made up the legend that Pierrette is the wife who was maimed by her bully husband. It is clear that these are fairy tales, but many tourists listen to them with interest. An analysis of the carbon to nitrogen ratios in the bones of humans from Saint-Césaire points to a diet consisting mainly of meat from large herbivores. Since only half of the skull was found, anthropologists recreated the other half by mirroring the existing bones. The reconstruction was done by Elizabeth Daines, who depicted Neanderthal woman as freckled and red-haired, although, as we know, not all Neanderthals were like that.